Interview with Gerald Celente, author and publisher of the Trends Journal. In this segment, Gerald gave me his take on why midterm exit polls demonstrated only 1% of voters felt that the economy was excellent, despite a drop in both unemployment and jobless claims and a rise in GDP growth. Here's what he had to say.
What was the campaign theme of the midterm elections? How about nothing? What was the big deal on the economy that the Republicans were going to fix? Nothing. No, nothing. So you had the people that were not caused it, part of the problem, the Republicans who began it, who built it up to the panic of '08. Now they're back in power, they're going to fix it. And the Democrats that have been in power, and people forget, by the way, when Obama got elected in 2008, this whole nation, they were for him. He had both houses of Congress in his corner. Nothing has happened. It's the Bloods and the Crips, the murderers and thieves, or people call them Democrats and Republicans. And I don't say that sarcastically. All they do is they start wars and kill millions of people, and they rob our money in names of bailing out the too big to fails. So, yes, the people feel the pain. It's real. Every study that you're showing, again, I'm old enough to remember, Aaron, when every poll that used to come out used to be, the future will be greater than today. And now every poll shows the exact opposite. The people are feeling it in their pocket, in their heart, and in their spirit. It doesn't lie. The numbers don't lie. The politicians do, and they cook the numbers.
Gerald, oil has fallen below $80 a barrel in the U.S., and gasoline is under $3 a gallon at the pump. So ostensibly, that's a big plus for disposable income. So is this a supply or demand issue?
It's both. It's supply and demand. And we've been on top of this, by the way, Aaron, since June, when oil prices peaked, Brent, at $115 a barrel as things were heating up in the Ukraine and the Middle East. This has been a drop I've never seen before in my life. There's more supply and not as much demand. Again, pick up the news. You're looking over in China. You saw real estate increase in China in 2013 by some 27%. It's down now by the official numbers over 10%. You're going around the world, you look at the numbers, they're down. Demand is down. So that's why the numbers are going down. And supply is up, so they're being hit from both ends. Again, look at the news coming out of Europe. Is Draghi going to come up with his economic stimulus plan? Look what Abe just came up with, Abenomics 2. The equivalent of the United States, when you relate to GDPs and ratio of them out, would be like the United States pumping in $3 trillion to pump up their economy. So no, to me, this is more of a demand issue than a supply issue, although supply is making it worse.
Gerald, how do you see the reduction in gasoline prices altering the economic landscape in the U.S.?
It's going to help. It's going to hurt in some areas, particularly with this hydrofracking that has really created boom towns in a lot of places around the country. So there's going to be a point of diminishing returns when they can't keep pumping it out like they are without pushing the price lower if demand does not increase. And as the economic situation looks like now, it's not going to increase. And then the other issue is, yes, lower gas prices help the consumer. However, if the consumer has lousy jobs and they're very deep in debt, how much is that really going to help? Because you have to look at the bigger numbers. Look at the numbers that came out on new home sales. They're way down. It used to be new home sales were 40%. Now it's down to 33%. You're looking at new home buyers, first-time home buyers, people from 35 or younger, they're down in the 27%. And they're burdened with all of this debt. Student debt is what, $1.2 trillion? So a couple of pennies at the pump, yeah, it's going to help, but not enough to juice the economy to make it really meaningful in a big way.
I want to ask you to kind of elaborate. What significance do you think the recent slowdown in residential property sales will have on growth in China and the global economy?
Well, again, if America and Europe aren't buying, China's not making. And if China's not making, then Australia, Brazil, Bolivia, Chile, all of those natural resource countries are not going to be exporting their product. Go back to China. It's estimated that between 20 to 25% of their GDP is based on real estate. And we all see those pictures of those empty cities. A number that I saw was that there are 70 million luxury apartments in China that are vacant. Look at the sales numbers coming out from China, from the high-end retailers, the Gucci's, the Pradas, etc. They're way down. And then you're seeing a lot of that money leaving China, and there's boom towns, China boom towns throughout the world. As a matter of fact, Portugal, there was just a story out on, they had a public auction, and most of the people there were speaking Mandarin. So it's leaving China. China's going down. Europe is, look, they have negative interest rates in Europe. One of the German banks just came out, if you have over 500,000 euros, whether in a business or private account in a bank, you're paying 0.25% to keep your money there. So there's no recovery. And when you look at Abenomics, you're going to start seeing more QE2s or quantitative easing coming out of Europe. The only way they keep the Ponzi scheme going is by printing cheap dough. And in the United States, they've announced they're still going to keep interest rates near zero. So that's the way it keeps going. And at some point, it breaks.
Now, you had a big piece on artificial intelligence in your latest Trend Journal, and I find this super interesting, but I want to know what's your view on how technology will be most relevant to the economy going forward?
It plays a part in it, but it's the human spirit that really creates the economy in so many different ways. Technology is really limited, but they think it could do all, and it can't. And will it take away jobs? Yeah, just like industrialization did. People were knitting their own socks in their houses, They weren't going to work in sweatshops to make it happen. But then that balances it out. The same thing with technology. However, to me, and again, only speaking for myself, I'm a believer that art is the way of finding the true meaning of the human spirit. And if you could look at the Renaissance, you could make a case for it. And that art is gone.
I hope Gerald's wrong, but good hearing from him anyway. That was Gerald Celente, author and publisher of the Trends Journal. Time now for today's Big